Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Desire the Fire.
Welcome to Desire the Fire.
Have you kept the fire burning?
Mine went out last week.
Oh, Daniel, I told you to put some more firewood in your fire.
That's why we get lighters, right?
I don't get it. So you can restart your fire?
Yeah, to restart that fire. No joke. One of the ideas we had to promote this podcast, I was thinking about putting our logo on lighters and passing that out.
That's the stupidest idea ever.
Why? I mean, if you don't smoke, it's just a lighter you have, and if you smoke,
but you're like, okay, so you're promoting arsony as well as smoking.
Well, no,
and you're associating.
There's no promotional arson.
Okay.
One of the things I always heard growing up, and I thought was freaking funny, was blaming guns for violence. This is controversial, okay? So don't quote me on this. Blaming guns for violence is like blaming forks for obesity. Let that sit in for a second. Blaming guns for violence is like blaming forks for obesity.
But that's really kind of
Jacked
an
up.
odd metaphor.
Yeah. Well, so the reason I bring that up is because giving out lighters as part of our promotional product isn't necessarily going to start fires not the kind of fire that we're trying to start, but it depends on the person and how jacked up you our listener are. And more than anything else, what I'd really like for us to do is just get something out there that the listener can hold on to, that will make you think about us and maybe even pray for us and all that stuff.
Did you light the fire?
Yeah, so as you're praying, you can have that fire lit, and hopefully you don't burn your own hair.
Okay, so how about this? How or what are lighters used for, like, percentage wise?
Birthday cakes.
Okay, comparatively to like lighting cigarettes or lighting fires, like actual like arsony fires, like what do you think is the percentage of the use of a lighter?
Well, hopefully not a lot of arsony, because we got a lot of stuff burning up all over the place.
So can we say like 2 to 3% is arsony?
I hope so, man. I hope it's less than that.
Out of 100%.
Out of 100%, okay.
Maybe 1%.
Like if you're looking at a pie chart, it's just that little sliver.
Yeah, 0.5%. It's for arsony.
And the birthday cake is probably just a little thicker than that.
1%, and then the rest is cigarettes.
Like fireworks and cigarettes and like whatever else you shouldn't be lighting on. Maybe like those handmade torches you use to like burn trail of ants and stuff like that. Am I the only one that's done that? I don't know. My church, at church, what we would do sometimes we're bored outside is we'll get a magnifying glass and then we'll start torturing the anthills.
You start torturing. So you just keep it on the hill or whatever, and then as they come out, they burn.
Like,
and then they fall back in, and then it comes out. It's jacked up, man. I heard that serial killers exhibit that behavior when they're kids. They torture animals.
What happens when they're adults?
They become serial killers.
No, I mean, like, what if they exhibit that behavior when they're an adult? Does that mean when I'm like 70, I'm going to go around killing people?
So later on, is this the delayed effect?
Uh-oh.
Or you're just an animal torturer?
Well,
it's horrible. PETA and like... we're all like on FBI like watch lists and stuff.
Are insects considered animals?
They're part of the animal kingdom.
So like PETA would be like pissed at me right now. My name is Jonathan Quick.
Wait, Jonathan Quick. Where is that from?
I actually don't remember.
This is from something.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, so today's topic. All right, so we went from Desire the Fire to
animal
arsony
torture
to lighters to animal torture. To
basically, what we're trying to get across today is that men are from dirt. Just kidding.
All right, so the title of this podcast is "Men Are From Dirt, Women Are From Bones,"
which is a biblical thing, right? I hope you caught that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I was just trying to be clever and like, men are from Mars and women from Venus, and like that's not really biblical because we're born on Earth and like so
dirt and bones.
Yeah, so it's kind of a play off of that, but yeah, we're dirt and bones.
So
scratching your head there.
I don't know where to go from here, man. We went from arsony to the.
So when God created the earth, he started with light, which is the fire that we're trying. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Well, today we're going to talk about a lot of things that might occur in your everyday life.
And you know what might occur in your everyday life?
Burning ants.
And possibly recording at 8th Light Studios.
Yes. Oh, yes. Going from one light to another, we're here at 8th Light Studio. We're recording once again. We thank you for their sponsorship. If you're part of the 8th Light Studio affiliation, thank you for opening this up for us. But 8th Light Studio, you can find it here on 8th Street in Los Angeles, to be exact, 1636 8th Street in Los Angeles.
Stop saying the
Huh.
The dress.
Is it bad? Are we
I
getting
don't
like bombed
know.
up here?
I don't know.
We're up-
What?
I don't know.
People try to steal like studio recording equipment.
Or like, desire this fire, burn suckers and stuff. Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, people have been making fun of us about our title already, and it's kind
Oh,
of.
really?
I mean, you saw it too, didn't you?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, I have some jacked up friends who've been making fun of our title, and we're like, the true story. We spent a good week just trying to figure out the title, and we've had some bad ones in the list too.
No, we're gonna be water treaders.
Water treaders, water, yeah,
Water treader.
yeah,
We're very elemental.
yes.
But if you didn't notice, we actually released yesterday on this release schedule timeline. So by the time you're listening to this, you can calculate the amount of time that has elapsed.
Well, okay, hold on. I studied history. I have no idea what you're saying.
You studied history.
Wait, so you're saying that the actual release came out a day before our actual recording of this
Yeah.
particular episode?
Yes.
So yeah, we should be about 2 months into this podcast by the time you hear this.
And you're only just hearing this podcast.
It's like we're playing with time here.
Hello, future people.
Okay, so one of the things that Andrew and I have in common is, or Chandler and I have in common every week.
I'm gonna.
We should
people
make a
at my
Chandler.
work called me Chandler.
Wait, what does it say on your driver's license?
What does that matter?
Well, that's your legal name. That's what everybody's supposed to call you by. Okay, so I think I've proven my point here.
My legal name is Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick, man. If you're listening to this, sorry. If you get all of a sudden people burning your house and stuff like that.
We're both named Jonathan Quick.
But anyway, Chandler and I have this one thing in common. We're both married. Not for very long. Chandler's been married for about 4 months?
3 months.
3 months.
Jonathan Quick is that
he's
King's
a,
goalie.
Yeah, King's goalie. Man, that's why that name popped up.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Anyway. Oh, dude. Jonathan Quick, I'm a fan, by the way. Thank you for helping our Kings win 2 Stanley Cups. Yeah, 2 championships. And
When LA has been failing at basketball, kind of.
and every other sport, essentially.
Baseball, too.
Yeah, we can almost get there, but not
Football,
quite.
we did the ultimate fail.
We don't even
and
have one.
We lost 2 teams,
2
right?
teams. What a travesty. But anyway, like I was saying, Chandler's been married for about 3 months, you were saying. And I've been married about a year and a while. And one of the things that we wanted to share with you guys is not necessarily what it's like being married. Because for some of you, that's like a ha-ha, middle finger to your face. Like, we're married and you're not.
Those are handcuffs on your fingers.
Oh, you've heard that line too, huh? I remember right before I got married, all the deacons at my church were saying, you sure he still got time to make this, like, to think back on this?
I heard older guys say, just make sure you do everything that you want to do and buy everything you want to buy
before you get married. And
that's what they kept saying.
It's the married guys that get really creative with like bachelor parties and stuff because they're so repressed now. I remember, you were saying one of your coworkers like was saying like,
let me set up your bachelor party.
He has some bizarre ideas, right?
45-year-old salesman. Like, hey,
yes, he's
when you get married, I got some good stuff. I got good plans for you, man. Just call me up. I'm in Seattle. I'll fly down.
Oh, he's from up in Seattle, and
he's a sales rep from Seattle.
Oh man, yeah. Like older guys, married guys, they get to pick on it because they've been through stuff in their marriage, and I think every marriage does go through their own bit of turmoil and all these other things. But one of the things we wanted to focus on between a guy and a girl wasn't necessarily how to propose or how to woo a girl or anything like that, because it's different for every girl. But I think essentially every relationship, at least the ones that I've sampled and like talked about and stuff, struggled with this one issue, which is communication. And like our title says, essentially we're two parts of two very different creatures, right?
You want me to say something?
I don't know. I was just kind of trying to catch my breath there, and then awkward silence.
I try to make it as awkward as possible for you.
Every time that happens, I shrivel up a little and die.
What?
Too many of these awkward silences. I could always edit it out. No, I'm just kidding.
But I think, boys and girls are different. I'm a firm believer that girls and guys can't be friends. That's another topic in itself. But just the way we talk, just the things that we talk about, just the way that we communicate. It's obviously very evident in children where you put a bunch of boys together in a room.
And then the girls together.
And the girls together in a room.
In the same room.
No, different rooms. And then you look at how they interact with each other.
Right.
And in the guys' room, they're just like,
burping, farting.
Boom.
Yeah. It's not a lot of words. You're on fire!
Fire! Ah, fire! Get him!
And then eventually someone's crying.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
And then the girls are more like, I'm the mother and you're the children.
Right. And it's funny how that works because, I thought it was the weirdest thing that my church was doing when we were growing up. I was like 5 years old when we were playing house. I'm like, why do I have to act like I'm some 30-year-old ajashi or something?
Then
like
you go to work and you come back.
Yeah, and like, why do I pretend to go to work? That's the whole point of being a kid is not having to do that stuff.
Wow, you knew what you were doing before they did.
Well, I might have been adding my own thoughts like now from back then, but like that's very funny that a lot of girls tend to a lot of children growing up have a tendency to play stuff like that. And so,
and just a small disclaimer, a big disclaimer actually, before we continue, is that everything that we say today is from a guy perspective.
Oh, really? You mean we're both guys?
This is from a man perspective, so if there's any females listening to this, no disrespect. It's a very lighthearted conversation, and we're not trying to offend you, but it's just from a guy perspective.
And feel free to roll your eyes as we're talking, because we're used to it. I mean, my wife does it to me all the time.
And you know what? Feel free to give us 5 stars, wherever you listen to this, on iTunes, on Stitcher.
Yeah.
And just, you can go ahead and criticize our podcast in the comment section, but just make sure 5 stars.
How about as many times as you want to hit us, put another star on it. Shameless self-promotion.
So you're hoping they want to hit us more than 5 times.
I'm hoping we would start a discussion
you
here.
See a lot of 1 and 2 stars in there. It's like,
oh, they were so nice. No. What we really want to do here is start a discussion because Andrew and I, or Chandler and I, we're not comprehensive, and our thoughts don't cover the whole spectrum of thoughts and belief.
And we're not going to cover it in like 20-30 minutes.
Yeah. So we want to continue this discussion on Facebook and YouTube or wherever you're listening to us from, and feel free to comment. Don't just feel the burden to have to rate us or give us feedback. But if there's anything we bring up on this particular episode is something that you want to continue in a discussion, or even maybe you can bring up some new points that we haven't discussed, please feel free to go ahead and comment below wherever your comment section is located, and let us know. We'll try to reply to you as quickly as we can too.
All right, so very, very, very loosely created bridge. Remember, we were talking about the sound effect guys and the girls being like role play and talking a lot.
Sure.
So what basically that I've realized in my life, at least in my personality and me being a guy, I really do have an issue with expressing and speaking. And when things get emotionally charged, it's very hard for me to say things that are cohesive or comprehensive or even like argue. So does that ever happen to you? You have 2 sisters, and then I have a sister, and then they're just like, you didn't do this, and I'm just like, I didn't do that, and that's all I can say.
And then there's another hole in the wall, right?
they've already had their opening argument, their closing argument, their I don't know, their
thesis point 1,
2, and 3,
right?
And the what is it called, support statements, and I'm just like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. Yeah, I had 2 sisters, and actually, most of the fighting was done physically with me. Anyway, I would just like punch something or like flip something, or
Wait, at your house, aren't you surrounded by females?
Even my pets are female.
That's what I'm saying.
We had a dog and cat, and like we have this one really not masculine dog. So that's
what do you mean not masculine dog?
Like,
could you elaborate how that's?
I don't want to be offensive here and use like offensive language, but it's not. It doesn't play on our team, if you get what I'm saying. Like, that dog doesn't act like a typical guy dog would. Well, let's just put it there. But anyway, I totally get you. Sometimes when my wife and I are getting into arguments and stuff like that too, she'll go on this long, like, well-versed, well-explained,
exactly what she's thinking,
articulate,
and feeling, or what happened.
And I'm thinking, like, it takes me like 5 minutes before I say da-da-da-da. And then it's like 2 seconds and I'm
even
done.
then you're like,
oh,
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I screwed up. I'm sorry, honey. Like,
is that what you say?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the tone you give her?
That's the sorry voice. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's like my relaxed.
When you go home, that's how you talk. It's your Daniel.
After a long day, you know, you don't want to say anything.
Blah.
Let me watch my Netflix. No, but I mean, I totally get you. And, you know, like you're saying, I think a lot of guys aren't able to. And mind you, this is just the general behavior that we've observed. Doesn't mean it's comprehensive to all guys, right? Because there are some guys who are very, very articulate with their emotions. And very
I think there are
much
some people that are able to do it, and they don't have as many like communication problems, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely are. And the one significant difference you see is that they've gone through a lot of practice in that as they were growing
I
up.
shake my fist at you.
Right, and that's about it for us, you know, like, and that's it. Yeah, you know, like you say, I'm so mad and stuff. Usually with me when I was growing up, it was just like, go away. And I'm just like, I go away. You know, I don't even.
You go away.
You know, like backyard breaking bamboo sticks and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, like definitely you do make a point. Like when guys are growing up, we don't necessarily communicate in words. We communicate through body language, with anger, with emotion and rage, and
I think it does come out like in the tone of our voice. I think like our emotion, but I don't think we talk about our feelings.
That's true. I mean, it's kind of frowned on, don't you think so? As we're growing up, it was kind of for me. I feel
it's kind of in a way that you should suck it up and just do it.
Yeah, because like let's go back a couple years to college. Remember how everyone was giving you a hard time about being emo and stuff just because?
Dude, man, I was not emo. Yes, I was emo.
If you need to defend it, I don't know, man.
It's messed up.
No, but then
why are you saying this to me?
Okay, this time Andrew actually shriveled up and like died a little.
Okay, so go on.
No, but then yeah, you know, like it's very like we used to pick on you before being so like in touch with emotion at times and like having your ups and downs, and like for the rest of us, we'd be like, oh yeah, I can't show my emotion or else I'm gonna get crapped on like Andrew is being here and stuff like that. So you know, like for me too in college, what I did a lot of times is like if I was going through stuff, I'd just shut everyone out or like go walk around or like do whatever I can to just like vent or just lie down and stuff like that. And that's kind of the behavior that's reinforced for a lot of guys, don't you think so?
I think so, and I think that to a certain degree, you are expected to like guys like stop being a girl. I guess that statement comes around, which is kind of offensive if you think about it. But that's what a lot of guys have to take, and they're just like there's a set standard that you're required to live your life, and if you don't fall in that standard, you get made fun of.
Okay, and that actually I mean, like, to go on top of what you're saying too, it's ironic, don't you think, that you find a lot of podcasts like this or radio shows and stuff like that where it's typically like the guy is the main host or the main speaker. Like when I'm listening on the radio and stuff like that, you don't see like LNK, but you see like Ryan Seacrest on the radio, or you don't see like K-Rock has Kevin and Bean, and yeah, they do have like female DJs and stuff like that. But typically, when it comes to these shows,
80%, 90%.
Yeah, it's the guys that are speaking, which could speak volumes on a whole nother social equality issue where women might not be given the opportunity. But it's not that guys are incapable of explaining and vocalizing and verbalizing their thoughts, right?
I think they're better though at, I guess, objectively looking at something without their emotions being involved.
I don't know.
That's what they do.
I think objectivity with a person is very difficult unless you're totally unattached to it. But I think what you're trying to say is maybe speaking logically.
Speaking logically, rationally.
Right.
Guys are a lot more rational.
Not to say that you ladies aren't rational, but yeah, you are. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, okay. I just got a lot of like thumbs down on YouTube right now with that comment right there. No, but just in all seriousness, it's interesting because the kind of communication that we're talking about isn't necessarily just communication in general. It specifically revolves around communication in the context of a relationship. And maybe women are just better equipped to communicate in a relationship, or not.
I think to a certain degree, women are better, or females are better at like explaining their feelings or what they're going through, or just verbalizing these things when they get hurt. A lot of guys are just and not understand, hold it in, and a lot of times because they hold it in, I think guys have a tendency to go crazy.
We do stupid stuff like I have a bunch of friends who've thrown their phones and broken it and stuff like that.
Yeah, so guys have a tendency of going crazy and
holding
doing something
it in
weird.
And then boom, explode.
Yeah, they don't have they don't know how to release or express those things to their partner or to the female or anybody around them that's causing the issue,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just hold it in and just move on. Not necessarily because at that point society is constraining them and wants them to hold it in, and, like, just be a man or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but because they don't know how to at this point, because that's how, like, the effect of it.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure. I think. I mean, I definitely see your point
Like,
because
serial killers are males.
Oh.
The vast majority, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man,
Bringing it back to that.
serial killers again. You people watch out. When I turn 50 years older,
50
Me and
years
my-
older.
me and my habit
How
of burning
old
ants and
will
stuff.
you be?
Well, just barely old enough to hold a knife,
Just barely old enough.
or young enough to hold a knife, I guess. It might be shaking in
Oh,
my hand as
man.
I'm holding it and wielding it.
Wheelchairing forward. Come over
Coming
here.
after you. It would be like, you know, those old school jousts between knights where they stick out their lance and they're just like riding at each other.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Divide that by like 50, and then like that's the speed that I'm gonna be going at with the length of my weapon. Just going at people with my. I'm sorry. I really don't have any intention of killing anybody out there. I hope.
Yeah, okay.
I don't-
This went the wrong way really fast. But
I don't
okay,
want to be mistaken.
so
here.
other than the factors of, like, let's say emotions and trying to understand those things, I think those are the two main points that we're making. One of the biggest factors I think that you brought up was that some guys are just better, and personality comes involved. Some guys are just more in tuned or more able to empathize, and I think the big thing that I've encountered with Dina is that I'm unable to empathize. I don't know what to do. It's that I try to figure out, I guess, solutions to the things that we're talking about instead of understanding or even sharing what's
So,
going on.
Empathize, as in like you don't know how to connect with her feelings that she's going through with a particular discussion.
Right. So this is what I've learned in, like, conflict management or like
Sounds like an HR class right now.
yeah. But
Human
like
res-
some sort of like when we were in counseling and stuff,
Mhm.
or taking lessons and stuff for premarital,
Mhm.
is that like when you share something and the person that got hurt shares something,
Mhm.
they'll explain how they felt, and then to empathize, one of the exercises that you go through is that you take those emotions and the words that they said about the emotions that they felt,
Mhm.
and you think of a time when you felt the same way
Okay.
and share it, so
Okay.
that at that moment in time they can understand why you felt those things,
Mhm.
as in the person that got hurt,
Mhm.
and then the person that got hurt can also know that you know how they felt and understand them.
Okay, I can
and
see the benefit
empathy.
of that. So you kind of, as you're sharing this parallel story, you kind of go through the empathetical process.
Empathetical, yes.
Empathetical process, and in essence, it shows whether you get the magnitude of the hurt to the other person as well.
Not necessarily. You see, that's another problem that I run across, because you can share the story, but it's not the same thing.
Right.
But you can say that I think this is how you felt to a greater degree,
Okay.
or at certain times, even like I don't have a story to share like
Okay.
that, but I think it's like this in a combination of this or something.
Okay, so you can, if not necessarily personally relatable, then you could draw a circumstance that you can kind of understand.
Yeah. So
Okay.
not every single situation. Like some of the things that I might go through as like a first child born from both families, like some people won't understand, I guess, what you go through unless you're the first child of both families, and then you realize you're the only son of whatever, and then it's like, how do you feel about that?
Sure.
And then someone has a conversation, you're like, I can't believe they just said that.
Right.
You know, so like certain things you can't really, but in essence, like, yeah, just being able to share and draw from your own pool of emotional experiences to really understand the other person.
Okay, that sounds like a whole lot of work. Do you ever find yourself just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Forget it. I'm just gonna let them linger in their like pain and like let them forget that.
I think it is. And then when you're staring at the situation, and then when they, after they're done talking and you hear the emotional words that happen, there are some times when I have to think, and I sit there for like 15 to 30 minutes, and Dina has to wait for me.
Just sitting
And
there.
she's just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to think about this. And I try to figure out, because it feels like a big mountain as a guy. It's like you have to sift through all the emotional things that you try to burn or bury away and hide away in there, store away, to never look back again, and pull that out, and then you have to share it. You have to relive that moment again to feel how they felt.
Right.
But I think after you do it, because it's such a big, I guess, it's a big connection, as well as like there was a lot of work emotionally put into it. The other person understands that you try to go through it, and if you're able to hit it, then you're able to hit it. If not, you kind of understand where you're coming from, and you work towards like a resolution.
Okay.
It's a big step to take when someone opens up and says they're hurt too, to share you those emotions to begin with.
Sure, that's not an easy thing to admit.
Yeah, and you're basically opening yourself up to them with the same way, in the same way that you got hurt as they did.
Okay. I think I kind of understand, and like personally too. When I've had arguments and fights with my wife as well, one of the things that I regret so much is that there are times when she's explained her feelings and all these different things, and I think I get it, and then like I wake up in the middle of the night, and then it really hits me how she must have felt. And like we can't talk about it because it's already she's like sleeping, right? And I'm just looking at her and like, oh man, you just went through all this. And for me, it takes sometimes it doesn't click until like a week later. And so guys just don't have this.
It takes time.
It does. And like maybe it has to be something that you go through throughout that week to understand, or something that where like she has to just put herself out there, and it's always a strain for her, like.
Yeah, it's tough on her.
Yeah, we don't really think about, because we're never the ones that are crying to our wives, going like, "Honey, you hurt me this way," and I don't like, like it's very.
Yeah.
I've never done that to my wife. As many times as she might have hurt me from different things.
Have you ever hurt her for not sharing? That's happened.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
It goes both ways, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, like, as guys, we really need to be aware of this, because I know a lot of guys that are dating right now who struggle through, like, this miscommunication with their girlfriends.
I think, yeah.
And, like, big thing. Not everyone has this coaching where we know how to figure it out. And sometimes, the hurt is so deep that the girlfriend, you're not in a committed relationship to where you guys are now vowed to each other or anything like that. And so, sometimes women just can't take that pain anymore, and they want to give up. And so, like one of the things
guys want to give up because they can't figure out what's going on.
Oh yeah. And then I mean, I've seen that tons of times, and I've seen some guys bounce back from that and try double back their efforts.
You got to think not of yourself at that point. Literally, It's not about you. It's about your person that you're trying to love.
Because you don't even exist when the girl's hurting at that point. Like, she's just thinking about all the pain that she's received from your end, and like now she's in like her own emotional survival mentality where no one else really matters. You could feel this way and say all these different things to me, but right now I'm hurting so bad. I'm trying to just stay alive. Yeah, like for instance, like let's say you got hurt really badly. You're not thinking, oh, I hope nobody's looking at me and feeling bad for me. You're thinking, crap, I'm in a lot of pain right now. And so like in the same way, I totally understand when women shut off, but then it's an encouragement to you guys too. If you guys are struggling in your relationships right now, hopefully it's a God-fearing relationship. And
Jesus,
one of the things that we want to really encourage you guys to do is think back. Take a moment to really think about the words that you've said or haven't said, and really double back in that effort to do that. But that's enough of that tangent. Sorry, I know so many hurting guys out there because the things that you haven't done or the things that you did but don't realize have hurt, and just don't give up. There's still hope.
We when we started dating, we try to implement the phrase "never give up"
to each other, or regarding your relationship.
Yeah.
And has that helped you guys?
Yeah.
Personally, I've had that internally as kind of like a commitment to myself too. I'm never gonna let her go unless she lets me go and just pushes me off.
But even then,
I'm still going to do my best to hold on to her. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's a relationship is a commitment, and it's going to have these miscommunications and hurts and all these other things. But have there ever been any like funny miscommunications on your part?
Funny miscommunications?
Yeah, like, like let's say you say something and she doesn't understand, and you're like, you're just going back in a circle for like an hour, and then you realize, oh, we were saying the same thing, and they're just laughing about it and stuff. Or does that usually result in anger?
I don't know. That's never really happened to us.
Oh, well, my wife and I, actually, I'm just an idiot sometimes. I know I'm on a podcast and trying to explain a lot of different things, but sometimes when I'm stressed or just like panicked about something, I say a lot of words without any meaning in them. So like just speaking and spewing out words and stuff like that.
Speaking and spewing.
I do a lot of word fusions where I'm thinking two words at the same time, but they come out together. But anyway, spewing and speaking and spitting out all these different words. Spewing was spitting and spewing at the same time.
Spewing.
But like I say all these different words and don't really think about what I'm saying. There's just verbal inflections that are coming out of my mouth without any real meaning behind it, and no brain process gone in there. And basically, my wife at the end of it is saying, "Man, if I could have just recorded what you just told me, you'd be like, what the heck did what the heck did you just say?" And so, I'm not just communicationally, relationally, emotionally crippled or handicapped, where I'm not
verbally
able to.
crippled as well. I feel you for that.
Yeah.
I feel you exactly for that. I'll start speaking in pronouns, and then she'll be like, "You said he went over to there to get the guy that went over to the guy that you talked to him about," and I'll be like, "Yeah."
Well, don't you get it?
And then in my mind, I'm like, "Oh crap!" I could see where the miscommunication could come in.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens all the time, and I think one of the interesting things is we talked about it earlier in the beginning when we talked about the title of our episode, but guys and girls are essentially different, composed essentially differently. One of the things that I learned as I was going to college, one of the lectures that I took, and I found it to be pretty interesting, is actually a study in biology or psychology. I don't know. But anyway, it's brain science. One of the things that guys have in common is that, okay, so all of us have a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere in our brains. And if you've done studies on that, one side is supposed to be more like logical and like
one's logical math
and like like administrative and so on and so forth, and the other hemisphere is more towards the creative aspect of it. Now the thing with guys and girls is where we differ is in our brains. We have connective synapses that allow us to tap into one side of our brain while we're still functioning on the other side. So for instance, when we're trying to be logical, we can also get creative with our logictivity. We can get creative with our logic and all these different things, and pull that out and bring that into our logical base. But the thing is, the difference between guys and girls is supposedly, and I didn't study science, like I mentioned. I studied history, so I'm not a strong authority, a strong figure to quote back on this. But supposedly, girls have a lot more connective synapses between their left and right hemisphere, whereas guys, they have a limited amount. And the difference that makes is it doesn't mean that guys we're all retarded and we're like less capable of using our brains. But what it does is guys
we are retarded and less capable.
Well, when we're together, I mean, like, yeah, guys' IQ does lower significantly. Where we're just like burping and farting and stuff like that. But basically, what it is we focus and use one hemisphere at a time. So we have a tendency to, like, when we have a task, we'll finish it and not think about all these other things. But where that differs with women is that they're able to tap into both sides of it, and that means that they're able to globalize a lot of their work or multitask.
Globalize is the key word here.
So yeah, one of the big things is the way it makes us different is women have a tendency to be more prone to nurturing, whereas guys have a tendency to be more hunter-gatherer. And what I mean by that is this: imagine, if you will, in the home, a mom is just sitting there. And the phone rings, but her kid is playing outside, and she's cooking. And she's managing all these different things where she answers the phone, is cooking, and like if the kid falls outside, she hears the baby crying and stuff like that. Whereas a guy, if we were to do all those three things at the same time, we wouldn't be able to talk on the phone. We'd be spewing words, right? And just like saying all these random babble and all these other things. And we wouldn't even hear the kid crying, and we wouldn't get any of the food done. It'd probably burn and everything.
And nothing gets done.
Right. Whereas if we're just on the phone, we can talk decently on the conversation, and if we're just cooking, we can hopefully batch up a nice meal and so on and so forth. And so guys are focused on the task, and that helps us to do work, and like it helps us to go out there and get work accomplished and get goals achieved and so on and so forth. Whereas women are able to handle a lot of these other tasks at the same time. Not to give hierarchy or what's better or what's worse or anything like that, but it's an interesting thing to note because that affects our ability to communicate as well. When we're thinking about something, guys in particular, when we're thinking about something, we talk about just that one thing. But when girls are sharing about their processes of information, from what I understand, what I've been told from women, it's a little bit of A and then B, the conversation goes to C and then D and then even H. It skips a couple letters, and then it'll go back to A and cycle back to like C, and then it'll jump from topic to topic. And I've noticed this when my sisters and my mom are just talking with each other, that they're not just restrained to one topic like we are. Andrew and I are on this podcast, for instance.
Chandler.
Chandler.
Is she having problems multitasking there?
Two things at once. And like the thing is, when we get ourselves in that kind of a situation, it's only understandable that when women are talking about one thing to us, we think they're just talking about that one thing, but that one thing is actually 5 other things. And because we don't get that it's 5 other things behind just this one thing, we'll focus on this one issue and not really get what our significant other or our friends or our sister are actually is telling to us. And so on that note, I think Andrew has some good practical things that we can actually do to Chandler has sorry I caught myself this time on my own. Haha. And so Chandler has some practical advice that we gentlemen could actually use to practice with one another, especially with those that we love and care about.
Well, I don't really have practical advice, but the best advice that I can give is that I think all couples and all people are different. We all struggle with different things in communication. Communication is such a broad topic, about the things, and just hearing the things that you're talking about. Some of the things that we don't deal with, or like I'm the guy that skips topics. Just funny. Like I'll be talking about A, and then I'll be like, "Oh, what about C though?" And then she'll be like, "But we're talking about A." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry."
That's just your ADD, dog.
Oh, I'm sorry. But one of the best things that we did was we took premarital counseling, and then in the winter we're going to take marriage counseling actually, because that's when it's starting up again. But we took premarital counseling at Rock Harbor, and it was run by Roger and Becky Tirabassi. And
Rock Harbor, what's that?
Rock Harbor Church. It's in Costa Mesa,
Okay.
Costa Mesa, California, for the people that are outside of.
So you could probably look that up
our
on the
region.
internet, Google.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and post this link here, but on the show notes. But one of the best things that we did was that we took this class, and they gave us not just like understandings or like overarching themes or like big ideas. They gave us practical tools and like things that we can use when we have like conflict resolution, and it says these 7 steps. Make sure you do these 7 steps, and then give it to the other person, and they do these 7 steps.
Whoa, it sounds like an AA meeting.
Yeah, and if you accomplish these things, because you're emotionally charged, it's good to have these instruction sheets in front of you, because you're going to forget.
Oh, okay.
And you can objectify these things and just be able to run through them. And by the end of it, you should be able to pull your emotions in, or share your emotions, and for both people to understand what's going on. That's one of the things that we use a lot.
Okay, so you guys have actually used this and put it into practice?
We use it a couple times, yeah.
And like, okay, so one of the things that I run across is when I go methodical with my wife, she gets mad because I'm not some book, and I'm not so based on some book, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
So what I noticed with that is that I'm sure that I would say something similar, or Dino would say something similar, but because we learned it from this class, we decided to together do it. It
So
wasn't
it's like a
someone,
mutual understanding.
Yeah, it wasn't someone imposing the system on the other person, which is
Sure.
a good thing, because if I took this to Dina and then I told her to do this a certain way, it could feel like there's ulterior motives of me forcing her to conform to a certain system.
But there's a mutual commitment.
But there was a mutual commitment that we took this class together. We both learned it, and we both decided to implement it into the system, which very, very good point. The other one that we did, that we do almost daily, we try to do daily, is the 5 A's. So the 5 A's helps. I'll share what the 5 A's are. So you affection, hug, whatever, kiss, whatever you want.
Also, some
sort of physical
display
contact,
of
affection. And then affirmation with words. So some sort of affirmation like, I appreciated when you did this, or I think you did this very well, or your personality character came out this. Just bringing the other person up.
Okay.
Now, the third thing after you do that is apologize. So that one person asks, have I offended you in any way today?
And then you have to be open and vulnerable to share.
Well, yeah, you ask, and then they say something. This is all supposed to happen in 5 minutes. So this is daily, 5 minutes, really fast.
Okay.
When we do it, though, it's usually like 30 minutes right now, but maybe we'll get to 5 minutes.
No, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, too.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. So
Sure.
if you have the time, then go ahead and do it. But at least
minimum 5
just
minutes.
do it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then apologize, and then basically at the end of it, say you're sorry. If you have to have a longer conversation of conflict resolution, then you go ahead and do conflict resolution. If not, then you say sorry, I apologize, and then you repeat the other person. And then, is there anything that I can do for you today or tomorrow? So ask what you can do.
That's the 5th A?
The 4th.
4th A? Okay.
The 4th is, the 4th is ask them if there's anything you can do, so that you can refresh yourselves again of what you need, and she can ask you, or you can ask her. And then the 5th one is any prayer requests.
Okay.
And talk about prayer requests and you close.
So what's the A for that?
Amen.
Oh.
So yeah. So
Christianity.
what I realized that this does is that guys hold it in. Remember we were talking about guys holding it in?
Sure.
If you have a daily touching of base, doing all these 5 things, it's releasing steam as well as making sure everyone's in constant communication.
Okay.
Because once those things break, it's hard to be like, it's easy to forget how long it's been since you asked them their prayer requests, or it's easy to like, I don't know how you feel about this until it's too late, and then you guys fight about it.
And I think one of the benefits to that too is if you make a habit out of it, it's not as awkward. It might be awkward at first, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when I was trying to learn how to hold chopsticks, it was super awkward.
Yeah.
I grew up 23 years of my life holding chopsticks a certain way, and then my wife tells me, I don't like the way you hold chopsticks. And so here I am trying to rework a lot of programming. And the point of that chopstick story is to tell you that, yeah, we can actually be reworked. We're not old dogs that can't be taught new tricks. We're human beings.
Socially speaking, yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Okay, so maybe we can make it a habit. Those of you guys who are in a relationship, maybe you can start tonight. Do you feel like this is strictly regarding married couples, or do you think people who are dating?
In 5 days, yeah, in dating, you set your boundaries, whatever, physically, and you have to understand where you guys stand.
So
with
you
all
work
the
around
sharing.
this a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, where you guys are sharing. But
Sure.
I think we were doing this before. We weren't doing it as much before, but we were doing it as much as we could.
Okay, so you guys learned this during your premarital counseling?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So nothing but help.
Definitely, this is something you want to start as you're dating. Even obviously, affection. If you guys are not comfortable with like, I don't know,
Then
kissing
talk
each other
like
or
5
something
feet away from each other.
but make sure that, and then actually, one of the things that we had fought about before we got married too was that there are some things that I'm demanding out of her that I don't necessarily have the right to, emotionally speaking. Like, she doesn't have to invest herself completely into me before we're married.
Yeah,
And
she
so-
doesn't have to share with you everything.
Yeah. So, like, that's something that just, like, blew me away because, like, no, but I'm going to marry you. Like, what the?
Oh, we're not married yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys, you have to understand that you don't have the right to everything of your significant other, but you do. Hopefully, you will have some defined boundaries between the two of you guys, and working within that, the 5 A's are still applicable. Then, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. We didn't actually learn about that in the 5 A's thing, but I guess that was a given that you would talk about something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
so definitely want to bring stuff like that up, and maybe Andrew or Chandler. A number 6 is Andrew. Anyway, maybe you can just go ahead and put this in the show notes, just point by point, so that we can have that memorized. Because honestly, you said it, but I forgot it already. So.
Oh man. Okay, I'll put that in the show notes.
Right. 5 A's is harder to remember than like the prayer acronym. You know, the X, adoration, confession, thanksgiving.
But yeah. So I guess my best, going back to the best advice that I can give you is really that counseling, I realize, isn't for people that are like messed up in the head. I think at least Asian communities have this problem where, oh, you have to go to counseling, oh, you have to go to therapy because you have problems. But it's not like that. And what we realize in counseling is that you learn tools and you learn the ability to communicate. You learn more about each other, and all it does is help, and all it can do is benefit you. It doesn't mean that you have a problem. And Rock Harbor was a very like American church, like white people, and we're not really in that community. And we actually try to take ourselves away from the Korean community to see what they do in that situation.
Sure.
And it really benefited us in that way.
Sure.
Because we know how this works. Now we're going to see how this works, and there's different social structures,
right.
and we'll be able to use both and understand better.
Okay. So I mean, that's a different, interesting take too. Maybe you want to get outside of your own cultural way of handling it to see how other cultures might handle the same situation.
Yeah, but what's sad is that Asian churches don't really do these kind of seminar things.
I think the way we handle this is a little different. But
there's no dating.
No, there. Now that you mention it, there was just recently another marriage seminar from people from Korea actually that my ministry that I do on the side was actually sponsoring, and there is this new movement to get a little more verbal about that because we of the Eastern tradition we from the Orient, we have this honor bound structure that's established within us that makes it difficult to share with others outside of our family about any problems that might be going on. But yeah, definitely there are progressive steps to really rebuild the institute of marriage. But even as I was dating, one of the things that I kind of felt a little awkward about was there's all these books on marriage and like all these books on like different advices, seminars on people who are married and so on and so forth. And to be honest, I honestly think you can apply this even as you're dating. A lot of these different principles, because you got to get that practice down before you get into that relationship. And it's even better when it's with the person that you are going to commit yourself to. But because that's not guaranteed there. It makes it kind of tough. And you got to be wise with your resources here and there. But yeah, definitely this like we said, it's awkward at first, so it needs to be practiced. And how great would it be if you're already well versed in this and able to communicate? Mind you, it's not going to take away every problem in a marriage.
No way.
There's going to be problems regardless. It'll be over things like your toothbrush and stuff like that. But the thing is, yeah, we can all practice as young men in this generation. We don't need to grow up like necessarily our parents' generation, where they didn't always verbalize their problems and repressed a lot of it, and they vented it out in different ways and stuff like that. So let's learn from our previous generation. Let's give homage to them for really setting and paving the way for us, making us aware of these different issues that exist within the marriage. And let's also try to edify one another, whether you're dating, you're courting, or even in a married relationship. And so, I guess on that note, be open-minded to check out these other methods of counseling.
Or seek them out, because you can always go to your local church and pastor. I'm sure he'll be open to counseling, and they have their own things that they do. Mm-hmm. And no one way is right, and I'm sure there's a blend of ways out there. Mm-hmm. Find what works for you and go for it. And I think the things that we shared, or I shared, is has been really working in our marriage, which is weird to say because it's only been like 2-3 months. But yeah, we got some scripture to close us out. You want to take the first one?
Okay, so both of these come out of Proverbs, but the first one comes from Proverbs 12:18, and it says this: reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing.
Proverbs 12 verse 18.
Oh, was the spelling bee or something?
Yes.
Proverbs 12:18.
All right, so pleasant words are honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Healing to the bones? Did you do that on purpose?
No, that's what the... Oh, wow. Mind blown moment right here.
Okay, we all have bones.
Whoa, no, that's pretty cool though. Healing to the women who are made from bones. Wow.
You are...
that's God like pre-writing this podcast
prophetic
before.
Verse writing.
Holy cow. I'm like mind blown right now.
If you haven't noticed, Daniel Peck does the scripture stuff, and he's been doing a great job. But Proverbs 16 verse 24. And I think watching our words, and words is a big part of communication. There's always nonverbal communication, and so much is said before a word is spoken.
Right.
But ultimately speaking, when you resolve things, I don't think you resolve things non-verbally. Am I right?
Well, I mean, like if you push someone off of the chair because you're mad at them, resolved, or it establishes something.
I don't know, but really when you're coming into a room, people take notice of you. Are you mad? Are you angry? And then there's already kind of conflict.
Right, and a lot of questions are asked.
And the only way to diffuse that is to verbally.
Sure.
I think it could be like non-verbal by like giving them ice cream, or like, I don't know.
No, but then you don't know what's bothering this person.
Yeah. There's always that in the back of your mind. So I think verbally speaking,
okay, that's
all
a good
your
point.
Words matter.
Sure. Okay, so at the end of it all, I guess, ladies and gents, we'd love to hear from you.
This is the longest podcast ever.
Ooh, how many minutes are we at right now?
Like 48 minutes soon.
Sorry, guys.
Or 48 minutes.
But this is an interesting topic, especially for people our age.
And we still haven't covered everything. We probably sound like idiots still, like on the girl perspective.
I know.
So looking forward to this. We're hoping to have
is good feedback from you guys.
Either good feedback, or we'll have somebody on that can share the other angle of it, or maybe we'll have just two girls talk and we're not going to be here. Could you imagine? It's Desire the Fire without us.
That can't happen, man.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
But
we definitely
definitely in a very microcosm of just talking and discussing. This is what it was, and we're just two guys.
So we'd love to hear back from you, ladies especially. But gentlemen, if you want to pipe in and you have other things you could bring into the discussion,
let's try to make it positive, gentlemen. Positive.
Yeah, we're not knocking on women and stuff like that, but we do want you guys to hear from you, so you can continue the discussion on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Desire the Fire podcast.
Nice, and that's like up and running, kind of amazing. Thank you for everyone that has already liked our page.
And at this point, it's been up for like a month and a half or 2 months.
It actually has been up for a month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah, so go ahead and chime in, and let us know what you think. And like I said, we'll respond back to you if it elicits that. But otherwise, just like let your opinions be put out there. And lastly, you can definitely continue the discussion privately with us by following us on Twitter. You can catch Chandler at
Chandler.
Yeah, so if you can spell that out, I think it's like BZZZGT. Just kidding.
It's Boom Chandler.
At Boom Chandler, you can hit him up over there. Maybe you can get more feedback from him about the 5As and other things. Or if you want to talk to me and just like complain about your wife and like let nobody know. I'm just kidding. No.
Direct message him at desirethefire podcast@gmail.com.
No, I really hope you guys are having a great marriage and all these things. But yeah, if you want to tweet at me, you can tweet at me at SuperDan0. That's the number 0, SuperDan0. And you know, as always, please rate our podcast. Give us your feedback. Always want to hear how we can serve you better. So please let us know. And if you were really offended with us today, just smack us with stars, 5 stars.
Smack us with 5 stars.
If 5 stars doesn't cover
5 stars, 5
get your
fingers.
friend to smack us with 5 stars, and like their
That'd be
friends.
awesome.
You get a whole coalition of people who just hate us and smack us with 5 stars. But otherwise, on closing, just want to say, keep the fire burning, everybody.
Keep the fire burning.